My father stole my inheritance, so I ruined his life. Hey everyone, I've got a situation that's been eating me up, and I really need to get it off my chest. I'm Emily, a 24-year-old woman engaged to my fiancé Mark, who's been my rock through this whole mess. My mom passed away a few years ago, and she left me her property, which has been in our family for generations. It's not just a piece of land, it's my heritage, and it's supposed to be mine. But I recently found out that my dad, Richard, transferred the property into his name without telling me. I couldn't believe it. I was supposed to inherit it, and he just took it away. When I confronted him about it, he just brushed me off, saying it was to protect the estate from financial issues. It sounded like a bunch of excuses to me. I didn't buy it. So I talked to my best friend Sarah about what to do. She suggested I should bring it up with the rest of the family, see if they knew anything or could back me up. So, at our next family dinner, I brought up the property issue. But my dad, he's got a way with words, and somehow he twisted the whole thing to make me look like I was the bad guy. He told everyone that I was just being greedy and that I didn't appreciate everything he's done for the family. It was humiliating. Everyone sided with him, and I felt so alone. Mark tried to comfort me afterward, but nothing he said could make me feel better. I felt completely betrayed by my own family. Then, one night, I was walking past the local bar and I overheard my dad bragging to his friend about how he managed to get the property into his name. It was like a punch to the gut. I ended up pouring my heart out to Mrs. Peterson, my elderly neighbor who's known me since I was a kid. She's like a grandma to me. She told me about how her own family had screwed her over once, and it felt good to talk to someone who understood. Then she gave me this locket that belonged to my mom and told me it was given to her for safekeeping. Inside the locket, I found these old letters that hinted there was more to my mom's will than I knew. It was like a sign. I decided right then and there that I was going to fight for what was rightfully mine. I wasn't going to let my dad get away with this. I'm going to reclaim that property, not just for me, but for my mom's memory. Update 1. You won't believe the latest twist in my family drama. So, it's been a while since I've talked to most of my family. After everything that went down with my dad, Richard, and the property that was supposed to be mine, I just couldn't deal with them anymore. I've been pouring all my energy into my relationship with Mark, and honestly, it's been my one saving grace through all this mess. But get this. We were at this fancy charity event last week because Mark's company was one of the sponsors, and who do I see getting all this praise and applause? My dad. They were honoring him for his philanthropy. I was so mad I could barely keep it together. How could everyone not see the kind of person he really is? While I was there, trying not to throw something, I ran into Helen, an old friend of my mom's. She was shocked when I told her about the property dispute. She said my mom had told her about a secret clause in her will that was supposed to protect the property just for me. I couldn't believe it. Why hadn't my mom ever mentioned this to me? I went home and tore through my mom's old stuff until I found this hidden compartment in her jewelry box. And there it was, the original will. It clearly said that the property couldn't be sold or transferred without my explicit consent after I turned 25. I was beyond relieved, but also so angry that my dad had kept this from me. I confronted him with the will, and you know what he said? He called it a forgery and threatened to disown me if I kept pushing the issue. Can you believe that? I was so frustrated and didn't know what to do next. In the middle of all this, Mark proposed. I said yes, of course. It felt like a ray of light in a really dark time. We had our engagement party, and guess who had to make it about himself? My dad. He gave this toast that was so full of backhanded comments about my little obsession with the property. I couldn't take it. I left the party crying my eyes out. But then, something weird happened. I found this anonymous note at the party. It said someone knew the truth about the property transfer. I have no idea who it's from, but it's the first bit of hope I've had in a while that I might be able to get to the bottom of this. I'm not sure what my next move is, but I'm not giving up. Whoever sent that note might be the key to figuring this all out. I just hope I can do it, without losing everyone I care about in the process. Update 2. You won't believe the latest twist in my family drama. So, it's been a few months since I last updated you all about the whole mess with my dad and the property that was supposed to be mine. Wedding planning has been a welcome distraction, but the property conflict is like this dark cloud that just won't go away. Out of the blue, I get this bouquet of flowers delivered to my door. Weird, right? There's a note with it telling me to look into my dad's business partner, Gregory. I've met the guy a few times, and he always seemed a bit off to me, but I never had any concrete reason to suspect him of anything. I start paying more attention to Gregory, and I notice he gets all jittery whenever the property comes up in conversation. It's like he's hiding something. Then, one day, I'm at this cafe, and I overhear him on the phone. He's freaking out about being blackmailed over the property transfer. My heart is pounding because this is the first real lead I've had in months. I confront Gregory, and he just crumbles. He admits that my dad forced him to forge documents to transfer the property into his name. I'm furious, but I also feel a little sorry for the guy. He's scared out of his mind. He agrees to help me, but only if I promise to keep him safe from my dad's wrath. We make this plan to confront my dad together at the next family gathering. I'm nervous, but hopeful that we're finally going to expose him. But when the day comes, Gregory is nowhere to be found. I'm left standing there alone, facing my dad and the rest of my family. My dad, in front of everyone, starts tearing into me. He says I'm making up stories to get attention and that I'm just causing drama. I've never felt so humiliated. I can't even fight back because it's his word against mine, and he's got the whole family on his side. I leave the gathering feeling completely defeated. And then, I find Gregory. He's in his car, and he's not moving. There's a note with him, confessing to the forgery. It looks like he's taken his own life. I'm in shock. I can't process it. This was supposed to be the moment everything turned around, and now Gregory's gone, and I'm back to square one. I don't know what to do next. I'm scared of my dad and what he's capable of. I'm angry that he's still getting away with it, and I'm heartbroken that Gregory felt like he had no way out. This whole situation is a nightmare, and I just want to wake up from it. Update 3. Thank you for all the advice I've received here. It's been a year since I last updated you all, and I can't believe how much has changed. I've become more isolated, but my resolve to get justice for my mother's memory has only strengthened. The conflict with my father has strained my relationship with Mark, and it feels like we're hanging by a thread. Recently, I received a call from Helen, my mother's old friend. She was terminally ill and wanted to see me one last time. It was heartbreaking to see her so frail, but she had something important to give me, a recording of a conversation between her and my mother discussing my father's manipulative nature. It was like a voice from the past confirming all my suspicions. I knew I had to confront my father. I went to his office, my hands shaking as I held the recording. When I played it for him, I saw something I never thought I'd see, a crack in his usually unshakable demeanor. He knew he was cornered. I gave him an ultimatum: return the property to me, or I'd release the recording to the public. To my surprise, he agreed to transfer the property back to me. But as I left his office, I noticed someone following me. Before I could react, a car sped towards me. Mark, who had been waiting outside, pushed me out of the way, getting hit himself. Now I'm sitting in a hospital room, watching over Mark. He's broken off our engagement, saying he can't be with someone consumed by revenge. It's a lot to process, and I'm not sure where to go from here. But I know I can't give up, not after everything that's happened. Last update. Wow, did not expect to be making this update so soon, but here we are. So it's been several months since I got the property back in my name. It's been a wild ride, but I've started to rebuild my life. I've been focusing on myself, trying to move past all the drama with my dad, Richard. I even went to see Mark, my ex-fiancé, who's still recovering from the accident. We had a long talk, and it felt like we finally got some closure. It was tough, but I think we both needed it. In the meantime, my dad has pretty much become a hermit. After the recording of him talking about his manipulative ways got leaked, still don't know who did that. His friends and social circles turned their backs on him. I guess people don't want to associate with someone exposed for being that deceitful. I decided to channel my energy into something positive, so I started a foundation in my mom's name. It's meant to help people who've been wronged by their own family members, kind of like what happened to me. We had our opening gala recently, and it was more successful than I could have hoped for. But here's where it gets really crazy. At the gala, this woman comes up to me, and I swear she looked so familiar. Turns out she's Rachel, my dad's estranged sister. I had no idea he even had a sister. She told me she was the one who had been sending me those anonymous notes, and that she leaked the recording of my dad. Rachel said she wanted to help me because she knew firsthand what it was like to be hurt by Richard. He had cut her off from the family years ago, and she wanted some kind of justice too. We talked for a long time, and it was kind of surreal to connect with someone who had been through similar things because of my dad. It felt good to know I wasn't alone in all this. But then, just when I thought things were settling down, I got a text from Richard. He wanted to meet one last time to talk and get closure. I agreed, thinking maybe he was finally ready to make amends. We met at this cliffside spot where we used to have picnics when I was a kid. It was bittersweet, seeing him there, looking so old and remorseful. He actually apologized for everything he had done, and for a moment, I thought maybe we could move past it. But as we were talking, he kept edging closer to the cliff. I started to get nervous, telling him to be careful, to step back. He just looked at me with this sad smile and said he had nothing left. My heart was racing, and I didn't know what to do. Then, out of nowhere, his expression changed. It was like he was a different person. He told me he had been recording our conversation, trying to make it sound like I was the reason he was going to end his life. I couldn't believe it. After everything, he was still trying to manipulate the situation, to hurt me one last time. Before I could even react, he stepped off the cliff. I screamed, but it was too late. He was gone, swallowed up by the waves below. I was left there, on the cliffside, in complete shock. I don't even know how to process all of this. It's like I'm living in some kind of nightmare. I just hope that somehow I can wake up from it.